How's it going, everybody? Do 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 do. Do 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 do. How's it going now? I got a little bit of research to do today. Not a whole lot though. I'm not trying to spend a whole lot of time on this. So I had heard once, and the only reason I'm doing this is because I had heard somebody mention that the national debt includes 100 or no, it includes the unfunded liabilities, things like Medicare, Social Security, stuff like that, and that we could just write stuff off. Now I'll have to look into modern monetary theory after this and make sure, but um, there's some stuff on here that I think could really really help. So that's pretty much what I'm here for at the moment. You know, let's pop out chat and drag it over to here. It can sit here next to my thing, and I can come back over here. Okay. My microphone feels like it's been really sensitive right now, but that's okay. United States, it's on August 1st, and the Treasury Department will send the cash and other resources to stay below it. Okay. This can default on obligations. Okay. I mean, you do not fully understand what the debt limit is and the full impact of a breach. This piece explains the basics of debt. Now, I'm going to throw out one thing that makes sense to me. We are in a global economy. We are constantly back and forth sharing, borrowing, lending. So essentially, you take the concept of you and your friends each borrow $50 from each other, or say, one friend gets $20 more than the others, borrows $70. Who's really going to come and collect? Everybody owes each other money. Like, everybody owes each other money. It's not like one person owes somebody like a fuckload. Everybody owes each other money. Collecting is not in the best interest of anybody, really. It has the total number of outstanding borrowings by the U.S. federal government accumulated over our history. The federal government needs to borrow money to pay its bills when its ongoing operations cannot be funded by federal revenues alone. This happens, the U.S. Treasury Department creates and sells securities. These securities are the debt owed by the federal government. There are many different types of treasury debt. Bills, notes, and bonds are the most common ones. Various types of debt differ primarily in when they mature, ranging from a few days to 30 years, and in how much interest they pay. The United States has not run an annual surplus since 2001 and has thus borrowed to fund government operations every year since then. I would like to point out something that's very simple that we could do to deal with this. It's a thing that has been pushed by many people, many smart people, people like Bernie Sanders, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Vosh, Daniel Sandwich Pants, little known guy, probably never heard of him, but it's called raising the top marginal tax rates. Make Hassan pay more. Make Bosch pay more. Make Buffett, Gates, Bezos, make them pay more. We could do a lot of stuff. I wonder if I can get. Hell yeah. Sick, right? Yeah, it's real cool. I like it. I just have to be really careful because you notice the lack of green there coming through. Yeah, it's because I turned off the actual laser that if I move in the wrong spot will blast right into my eyeball. So you know what's the most fun? Gotta love it. Anyways, I wonder how does the audio sound okay? Is it trash? That's something I need to know. Audio sounds fucking great. Okay, cool. The debt limit is a ceiling imposed by Congress on the amount of debt that the U.S. federal can have outstanding. The limit has been set to 28.4 trillion since August 1st, 2021. It is also important to note that the debt limit is not a forward-looking budgeting tool that reveals what policymakers think are ideal levels of spending and revenue. Rather, it reflects the spending and revenue decisions debated and enacted in prior years by prior Congresses and administrations. In fact, 90% of the current national debt stems from policy choices made before the Biden administration took office in 2021. Choices made by both parties on their own and in bipartisan fashion. The debt limit is the amount of U.S. Treasury can borrow to pay bills that have become due based on the prior policy decisions. Including accounting techniques within several government accounts that temporarily reduce the amount of U.S. Treasury securities issued to those accounts. Of course, yeah. Suspending new investments or redeeming existing investments early. By reducing the amount of outstanding Treasury securities, the level of outstanding debt temporarily falls, slightly extending the amount of time that the government can continue to satisfy its obligations. Okay, so what I'm reading here is that the U.S. government can literally, this is just flowery language to say that the government can actually just wipe away most of its debts, considering most of its unfunded liabilities and a lot of, like, a decent chunk of this seems to be unfunded liabilities. But we'll see. We're going to continue on. This is just capitalism working as it normally does, affecting the government in the way that it does. Okay, cut national defense spending. These problems really aren't that hard to solve. What the fuck is going on? Okay, they actually are hard to solve. Like, the solutions are easy to come across. Actually implementing them is a fucking nightmare. Leftists like myself go, okay, keep paying Social Security and fuck the national defense spending. It's bloated as shit and unnecessary. Surpluses. Yeah. This was COVID's first run. Okay. Yeah. Important government functions, such as a thing we can cut and not a thing we can cut. Alright. Time to look at a graph. A pie chart, really, but whatever. Billions. Okay, so health is this black one. That should be much higher. This gray is transportation. It's also not high enough. What's this dark gray? Education, training, employment, and social services. That's a shitload of stuff tucked into this. Income security, I wonder who that's for. Agriculture has almost nothing in it. National defense. This one right here. Right? Is that the right color? That blue is that? Yeah. Agriculture is. So this is other, this is agriculture? I actually don't know. No. This is international affairs. This is agriculture. This is other. This is administration of justice, veterans benefits and services. That's part of where is it? This one right here. International affairs. Actually, this one $53 billion. Oh, phone call. Okay, sorry about that. Phone calls are a thing. But let's see what's going on with this. Government shutdowns are entirely different. Okay, government shutdowns secure when annual funding for ongoing federal government operations expires and Congress does not renew it in time since federal fiscal year shutdown. Not even a full fucking percentage point. Okay. Interesting. Not entirely sure this is fully accurate. I'm pretty sure you can just wipe away a large portion of the debt. This could be health right here. This could be reduced by adopting a Medicare for all type system. Income security. I don't even know who that's for. If this entire node, yeah, if that node is income security, is for like CEOs and shit, nah, fuck them. Now, if it's for the FDIC, then I can kind of understand a little bit more. They should put it as FDIC if that's the case. This one right here makes me sad though. 200 billion for education, training, employment, and social services. Alana Mercer? Is that a Twitter thing? Are you talking about on Twitter? That's not the one that I wanted. I wanted Twitter. What are you talking about? I don't know who Ilana or I don't know who Alana Mercer. Mm. Oh, Alana Mercer? I don't know. I have never heard of her. Is that who wrote this? No. Mercatus Center, George Mason University. Oh. Man, it's really only 2 pages. Somebody born in South Africa. Oh, okay. Okay, so she's a right winger. Yeah, she's a right wing person. Paleo Libertarian. Okay, so she's a fascist. Okay. So who's Alana Mercer? I honestly don't know. Camel. Outside of this. Um I've I just looked here. Not gonna lie. And if you just look at the little things here, not a day goes by when the liberal media don't telegraph to the world that a Trumpocracy is destroying American blah blah blah. How democracy made us dumb. Trumpocracy is destroying America is conspicuous by its absence as a pesky fact. Ours was never a country conceived as a democracy. To arrive at a democracy, we Americans destroyed a republic. So, Ilana Mercer is a dumb right winger. But this is the best part, everybody. Oh my god. So I scrolled down a little bit and I'm like, huh, Twitter. Wait. Paleo Libertarian? So she's just a fascist because she agrees with you, Camel. Yeah, she's a fascist. She doesn't care. They are literally super contradictory, Camel. That's why she follows you. It doesn't matter if you tweet anti-American stuff. See, they pretend to be like, I mean, they're often nationalistic, but if they see somebody who overall they can use to justify things that they want to push forth, they will use you as an example. Paleo-libertarianism was a strategy of political activism for libertarianism developed by American anarcho-capitalist theorist Murray Rothbard. and Lou Rockwell. The American. No. No. Oh my god. So she's just a fascist. Yeah, because the Mises Institute is pretty fascist. Not like the Mercatus Center. Face value of the outstanding Treasury securities that have been issued by the Treasury and other federal agencies. The term national deficit, national surplus usually refer to the federal government budget balance for a year, not the cumulative amount of debt. So, yeah, I actually have no idea. Outside of what I've just seen here, I wonder if we can. Okay. Republican solution to big tech tyranny does not begin to. The casualization of citizen dissidents en masse, including the infringement of the right to partake in public square and make a living. In their weak case against deep tech, deep to denote enmeshment with the state, Republicans are still defending only some speech on the merits rather than all speech, no matter how meritless. Because nobody's a fucking absolutist. In a sense, the statist antitrust bills targeting especially Apple, Amazon, Facebook, and Google being pushed by lawmakers are worse than useless. The antitrust impetus is misguided and it conflates corporate size with anti-competitive practices. The larger, the more monopolistic. However, reducing the size of an entity, a corporation, does not necessarily alter its nature. When willingness so divides, it doesn't grow less potent. To the contrary, it innervates and innervates more spheres. Likewise, breaking up big tech, smaller malignancies metastasize and kill just as well. No, this is not true. The habitual failure of the representatives. You know, Orwell would hate the use of that term. On the line is dissidents' ability to speak, publish, partake in society. So, crooks appear periodically on the Hill to make fun of the country's comical representatives. It's no cause by letting these deliver drivers who operate under severe time constraints urinate in bottles for fear of losing their low-wage jobs. Do you think the dim bulbs in Congress posturing for the cameras scare? The depopulating of a president, no less. The ban. He had lost, and the Republicans had lost control whenever Trump had been banned from Twitter. So that's just misinformation. Most of this actually is, except for this part. Nobody in Congress actually scares people like Bezos. Who reform we're advocating is that social media censors be deprived of their state grants of privilege and protections against liability. Okay. Which means they'll just deplatform you. No, do not repeal it. So that's something these libertarian types and the conservative types they don't think about the repercussions here. We live in a capitalist nation, and if you repeal Section 230, which means that the social media platforms then become liable for the stuff that you post, then if you post something that is against their terms of service or could make them liable for something like a death threat, then they will just ban you. And if they have a reason to believe that you are a bannable person before you sign up, they can just not allow you to sign up. The censorship you're trying to fight against would increase. They don't think. Conservatives don't think about things like this. To get an idea of Erroneous Republican thinking, take DeSantis' big tech bill. It most certainly doesn't give private citizens deserving unfettered access to the social media public square. His big tech bill is neither useful nor fair to the little guy or gal, nor not unless he or she is prepared to and can afford to launch lawsuits. I can't, can you? Yes, you can. Shut up. DeSantis has simply made it illegal for large technology companies to remove candidates for office from their platform in the run up to an election. Yeah, because that's not something you can do. Hmm. Something feels off about this language. Yeah, that's what they do a lot of the time. Duh. Yes. Yes. A lot. Because most people aren't getting. Fucking. This is so poorly written. It's also full of a lot of misinformation, which I would expect. It's from a fascist. I keep getting a lot of misinformation from fascists, you know. Let's see what some of these links are going to. I gotta know. Oh god. Oh my god. No. Amazon is not a public square. Facebook, Twitter, not actually public squares. PayPal is not a public square. Apple is not a public square, and Google is not a public square. Okay, let's see what she has to say about the Afghanistan thing. Unlikely recently discovered Occam's razor and is habitually applying this principle to anything and everything with little evidence or geopolitical and historic understanding in support of her theory is simple. Yeah, probably. A nifty principle and certainly not a philosophy. Occam's razor was not meant to apply to everything under the sun. Yep. Henry Kissinger is a fucking monster. You know, if somebody's right, they're right. There was absolutely no way we were going to be able to win Afghanistan. This one is very scathing to America. It's not a. There's not much in there I could actually disagree with, as far as like the conclusions of how it was not an easy solution, and that the entire thing was pretty much pointless from the beginning because there was nothing we could do there. And the more I learn about the region, yeah, that was true. Is this fucking Charles Murray? Yeah, Yep. Charles Murray. Should have figured. Okay. So, Ilana Mercer is a fascist. Somebody who probably supports eugenics. Paleo Libertarian. Yeah, that's fascist. No, I'm an anarcho-capitalist. No, you're a fascist. Anarcho-capitalism is just a euphemism for fascism. They use a whole bunch of different fucking terms to try and describe themselves because nobody wants to call themselves fascist. They're fucking cowards. I call myself an anarchist. That's not looked upon positively by society. What's the deal? Betas. Should have fucking known though, too. Like, jeez. Yeah, well, what do you do? That should say a lot, you know. If they're following you and they seem to like your stuff there, uh, knowing they're a fascist, maybe think about your own ideology. Because fascists don't like my content. Any fascist that tries to follow me is just constantly trying to shit talk me in anything I post, you know? Kind of like I've seen you do, Camel. But I still allow you here. Because I am pro free speech. Words are hard when your mouth is this dry. Anyways, that's gonna be it from me on this one. All right, so we're back to the. I wanted to record that little bit of research there, Camel. Corporations do have an undue amount of power within the country. This is true. I will not say they completely rule it, just like I wouldn't say that Zionists control America like you do, Camel. Um, no. I'd say that it's a bunch of competing interests, which is part of the reason that this country does some really ridiculous shit back and forth. Corporations just have more. Not so much that applies to my tweets. I mean, it's more when I jump on here and you come in and just let's see what this stupid fuck anarchist has to say. Stuff like that there, Camel, you know. I don't take too kindly to it, but I still let you say it because I do find, I mean, hell, you showed me a artist, a musician that I like now. So, thank you. Ah, current federal mandatory spending, $5.2 trillion, 2 times more than the military budget. Good. We can make it 6 times more than the military budget by reducing the military budget. And this is the balance. This is probably right wing too. till 2010. Okay. Okay. A 75-year shortfall could be covered by a 3.54% increase. Okay. Or an increase to the CEO's taxes exclusively. Hmm. No, this is actually fairly easy to figure out. Okay. Now, I'm not great at math with large numbers, but I'm pretty good at like getting a generalization on. So, it seems that we are going to face a huge issue within 75 years because of the unfunded liabilities. However, we're also facing the issue of the national debt. Okay. People are concerned about the national debt. Most of that is pretty well irrelevant. You can actually just not worry about it. Because a large portion of it that people are like super freaking out about, oh, they're not telling you the truth about the national debt. No, they're telling us the truth about the national debt because the national debt, as calculated in other forms, shows these unfunded liabilities, which are mandatory spending. Not that big of a deal because they're mandatory spending. The taxes that are like it goes into the hands and the taxes go into the hands of like the IRS or Congress or whatever. Then it immediately goes out to do what it's supposed to do by paying Social Security benefits and shit. So it's always moving in that regard. Increasing the budget to those, circulating money around more frequently, actually will help. If you just sit with a whole bunch of money sitting on in your hands, it doesn't do as much to help your uh to help your economy grow. Money circulating does. So, oh, it was cool. I actually ran into one of my friends from high school today working at a bank. Good for them. See, I'm funny on Twitter. So, I don't have a whole lot to go on. Uh, Today. So, why I keep reducing the benefits entitled under any mandate program because such cuts guarantee voter opposition by the group receiving fewer benefits. Spending continues to grow. Yeah, no, the aging of America as more people require Social Security and Medicare. The cost for these two programs will almost double in the next 10 years. Birth rates are falling. Yeah. Oh, here's another one. Okay, so we've got some very easy solutions as far as like how you come across them. You let in more immigrants to do work. You raise taxes on the wealthy, and that seems to be it. Oh, do those close those tax loopholes as well. So not only raise the percentage that they're supposed to pay, but also like close those loopholes. If you close every single tax loophole that the wealthy elite use, and leave only the deductions that are available for regular people to really benefit from, just like the child tax credit and whatnot, then yeah, repatriate the money that is in offshore accounts. Don't allow that to happen. Don't give them a fucking quote unquote tax holiday. Make them bring it back, and if they don't bring it back in a certain period, then they have to pay more, a higher percentage on it as a late fee or interest or something. They have to just pay more money, like a flat rate or something, whatever it is. Like, there are ways you can get this done. You just have to challenge the wealthiest people in the country. I'm pretty sure Trump was able to do a fucking tax holiday repatriation thing just with executive order. Make the fines hefty. I like it. No, I'm just playing around here now. Okay. No, that's the creative these. Government spending. Okay, hold on. Japan seems to be doing just fine with the 200% debt to GDP ratio, though. Didn't they adopt some monetary policies that? Social Security will always be solvent. Okay, so here's the deal. This right here. Either would slow economic growth. So if you bring in more people to work, we have a shitload of space in the country. We have a lot of work that needs done. So if you bring in people to do work. That's more people working. That's more people contributing taxes to the Social Security fund. Solvent. It increases economic growth. Raising taxes actually doesn't slow economic growth if you raise taxes on the right portion. It increases economic growth. If you lower taxes for the middle and lower class, like the lower class especially, because you can lower it a little bit and raise the top rate, and also add in like wealth taxes and shit. And you tax them to a point where they're still, I mean, they're still going to be wealthy. Let's face it. Their money makes money for them. So if you just make it to where they're taxed at higher than their interest in these areas, or around their interest, so they don't just sit there and keep compounding money over and over and over, that could probably help. As well as, the bringing in of other people, immigration, expanding that, adding more immigration judges and stuff. We could do a minimum wage increase, which would force corporations to pay the workers more, and that would stimulate the economy because people would have more money. What are you talking about? I'm giving a multitude of solutions that all need to be applied. Very narrow way of thinking. No, it's really not. You want to talk about a very narrow way of thinking, it's this. Oh, Congress has 3 evil choices to choose from. First, allow more of the budget to go towards Social Security. This would force cuts in defense spending. Great. It would also constrain the government's ability to stimulate the economy in a recession. Less good, but yeah, reducing the reducing the defense spending is perfectly fine, in my opinion. Second, increase the overall size of the budget. To fund this increased spending, taxes would have to be raised or the debt would have to be increased. Either would slow economic growth. No, there is more options for this. You don't even need to do that. Third, decrease the benefit amount paid to retirees. This is the most likely scenario. It would force able bodied older workers to continue working, which is fucked. Why? There's no reason to do that. So, instead of doing that, expand immigration. Okay? As a matter of fact, let me get this recorded. Okay? Y'all, I've been reading about the debt and stuff, and I'm reading this article from The Balance, and I get to this point right here. Choices for fiscal year 2021 and beyond. And I read one of the most fucking horrible, ridiculous set of options that is proposed here. They say to keep Social Security solvent, Congress must choose from the least of 3 evils. None of them would be good for the economy. First, allow more of the budget to go towards Social Security benefits. This would force cuts in defense spending, the largest discretionary budget item. I find that to be good, actually. It would also constrain the government's ability to stimulate the economy in a recession, which is less good, but if more people are if defense spending goes down and people have more money in the Social Security benefits, they're able to spend a little bit more, which stimulates the economy, so we may not have a recession as frequently. That's actually a good thing. That's a narrow way of thinking, Camel, not thinking about how all of this actually works together. Second, increase the overall size of the budget. Okay? To fund this increased spending, taxes would have to be raised, or the debt would have to be increased. Either would slow economic growth. No, but we'll get to that. Third, decrease the benefit amount paid to retirees. This is the most likely scenario. it would force able-bodied older workers to continue working. And see, as an anarchist, I find this to be fucking abhorrent. But we're gonna go over this right here. Instead of instead of saying that increasing taxes would slow economic growth, because it doesn't if you do it right, you could just put the debt would have to be increased, which would slow economic growth, or taxes would be raised on a top marginal rate. You could also add in, hey, if you do the top marginal tax rate and close some loopholes that they use and expand immigration, hiring more immigration judges, this causes money to circulate. Literally, money circulating is how an economy is stimulated, everybody. Come on. That's how it happens. The Great Depression literally is a case study in this. People didn't really spend money and they pulled it all out of the banks, which meant no investment was happening through banks. Banks weren't investing in anything. They also didn't have money to loan out. The economy ground to a halt and then died. That's what happens. I mean, it's more complicated than that, but pretty much what happens. Like, come on. So if you expand immigration and you hire more immigration judges to be able to process the requests, immigration requests, and also like asylum visas and stuff, you can bring them in and give them like social security numbers and stuff and get them on actual jobs with pay that does taxes and stuff. And there you go. You can help them find jobs. A jobs finding program. Not like the temp services that we have here, which make profits off of it, but it's something that we could do maybe. Maybe have some companies volunteer to bring immigrants to work. Like companies that volunteer to actually just like bring them onto jobs whenever they're processed and stuff, so that they can start working. Not like immediately, but like they can have a job. And then we just need to provide housing to people, but that's a whole different matter. We adopt a Medicare system, and that would a Medicare for all system, universal healthcare, like, or a British healthcare system or whatever. Although I'm pretty sure that Medicare for all was superior, but we can see. But if we got something along those lines, I think we'd be better off. That would reduce the amount of money we spend on health, which would reduce the debt. No, Camel, that is actually not true. We have loads of work. And only... Camel, you honestly do not know what the fuck you're talking about. That's Migration Observatory. I don't know. The impacts of immigration on wages and employment of Native American workers depend on factors such as whether migrant skills are substitutes or complements to the skills of the native workers. E.g., Borjas, 1995. Immigration impacts the substitute as well as as the complement labor market. Since most immigrants are low-skilled workers, they mostly affect or competing against low-skilled native-born workers with similar jobs. Some economists argue that immigration has positive impacts on the American economy, but a vast majority of academics least fortunate bear the burdens. It's like 2% of the lowest. 0.4%. Yeah. Yeah, even this right-wing type even this right-wing paper says that they are generally positive on the economy. Hmm. Hmm. Is there a conclusion? No, it's a whole ass. Yep. So you're wrong here again, Camel. I'm sorry. Even the right-wing paper says that it's good. Anyways, this thing's disgusting. Forcing able-bodied older workers to continue working? No, fuck that. I'm an anarchist. You don't need to force anybody to do a goddamn thing in that regard, and fuck you. Okay. So, yeah, Camel, no. Just no. You're absolutely incorrect. And I even looked at this earlier, and no, I don't like it. But I don't like it. I mean, I don't like the way it's written. This article is more than 3 years old. Yeah. The problem's still there. I already know about discretionary and mandatory. No, thank you. Alright, so I've already read everything except these two things. Alright. And I've done research on other shit. Ilana Mercer. Alright, so I know to avoid. See, generally people with the last name Mercer, there's only one of them that I've ever come across that I don't know anything political about, and that's because he does like D&D stuff. But outside of that, No, I don't. Every single time I've heard the name Mercer, it's in relation to far right wing bullshit. So, I don't know. There seems to be some sort of thing there. Okay. This isn't so bad. I mean, there's a shitload here that I'm going to have to go over. But that's okay. Because it's pretty much these that I need. Shit, I actually closed a bunch of stuff. Well, I can find them again so that I can talk about them later. But I'm doing this research for a reason. These pages are relevant. I've been going for an hour and 17 minutes, and that's fine. I think I'm actually going to be calling it, though, here in, actually, yeah, probably about now. I've been doing shorter streams and less of them recently because I've been working on some stuff. As a matter of fact, let me give a sample here. Let me see if the sound's coming out of my speakers real quick. It is. Okay. So. Good, it opened over here. There you go. There's a little sample right there. Little bitty sample. I do like tea at random times as well. Camel. That's gonna be it from me. Y'all take care. Seriously, have a good one. It's been a day. I will not be streaming tomorrow. I will have a lot of work to do tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. So, anarchist master plan? No, maybe. I don't know. Could be. Take care.